Tantras pieejā tas piegājiens varētu būt nedaudz atšķirīgs.
Anyway, so the main point of these views, whether it's a mind-only view or the Prasanga view, is like sort of give us a way to stop being so dominated by our disturbing emotions.
Jebkurā gadījumā šo skatījumu mērķis ir panākt, lai mēs neesam tik ļoti satraucējošu emociju varā.
So we get into this situation of exaggeration, and then from out of that sort of seeing the object in an exaggerated way, or exaggeratedly good or exaggeratedly bad, and we fixate upon that, the object really is bad, really is good, and then we develop this sort of attachment or aversion, which is kind of, that's what upsets our minds, and that's what, that's the selfishness and self-cherishing and self-obsession, and going along with this attachment and aversion. That's exactly what sort of gets our mind upset in the first place.
Un tā lieta, kas mums parasti rada problēmas, ir tas, ka mēs pirms pārspīlējam lietas vai pārspīlējam patīkamās īpašības vai pārspīlējam negatīvās īpašības, un tad attiecīgi vai ļoti pieķeramies vai arī ļoti cenšamies par visām varītēm tikt no tā vaļā, un tā visa rezultātā mēs radam sev problēmas un ciešanas.
So we see terrible damage in the world, don't we, through people expressing their anger or expressing their greed.
Un tad mēs redzam, kādu ļaunumu pasaulē nodara tie cilvēki, kas izpauž savu agresiju un dusmas un naidu, un cilvēki, kuri izpauž savu maksimālo iekāri un alkatību.
People getting carried away with their anger or their greed, it creates tremendous suffering in the world. We see this every night on our televisions.
Un mēs varam redzēt katru vakaru televīzijas pārraidēs kādu postu nodara cilvēki, kas ir aizgājuši galējībās naida vai iekāras vai alkatības dēļ.
The vicious wars that are going on and the bombs that are going off.
Visi kāri, visas bumbas, sprādzieni.
And then, many people living in poverty and complete sort of, exploitation, and others living in great wealth and luxury.
Un vienlaikus pastāv gan liela nabadzība, gan cilvēki, kas dzīvo milzīgā bagātībā.
But unless we can overcome these, really understand these negative emotions and overcome them within us, then we've not really got, there's not really much we can say about other people. We haven't got the real understanding of what's happening, and the real way of kind of, responding to it or kind of, finding a path through it.
Bet kamēr mēs neesam ar to tikuši galā sevi pašos, tikmēr mums nav īsti pamata un veida, kā mēs varētu risināt šo jautājumu attiecībā pret citiem.
So the meditations we've been doing are not just like us, that's the way the world is and we want to understand it, and penetrate down to some sort of, interesting conclusions. But this is the way that we, approach our happiness.
Un te tas mērķis nav tik daudz izprast veidu, kā pasaulē pastāv tikai tīra prāta intelektuāla intereses dēļ, bet tas ir veids, kā mēs pareizi visu saprotot varam virzīties tuvāk paši savai laimē.
So, it's like trying to see how the mind is creating the sort of false appearance, which then, draws us into this attachment and clinging, or else into the aversion and irritation and so on.
Un te mēs cenšamies ieraudzīt, kā mūsu pašu prāts tiek aizvelkts pieķeršanās virzienā vai nepatikas virzienā, un kā tas mums sagādā problēmas.
And one of the common ways, which you might have noticed by now, is that, we do this investigation into this question of whole and parts.
Un viena no tehnikām, ko jūs droši vien būsiet pamanījuši, kas tiek izmantot, ir šis jautājums par veselumu un daļām.
In terms of the person, that's the self and the aggregate. But in terms of the phenomena, also the whole and the parts. If we do some investigation of that, we might find out how this helps us to reduce those disturbing emotions.
Un attiecībā uz sevi tas tiek darīts sadalot sevi patībā un daļās, un attiecībā uz citiem fenomeniem to arī var darīt sadalot veselumu un daļas.
So let's first do a little bit going back to the meditation of yesterday of this inherent existence one, because we all need to practice that one as much as possible. And then we can go on to a little bit maybe of a mind-only, beginnings of a mind-only meditation.
Un tad vispirms pakavēsimies pie pašpastāvošas eksistences neesamības, un tad varēsim virzīties tālāk pie tikai prāta skolas meditācijas ieskicēšanas.
So for our school, the final view, which is this, you have to meditate on the non-existence or the absence of inherent existence.
Šajā mūsu skolā, kur jāmetē par pašeksistējošu es neesamību.
The best thing to meditate on is that dependent arising reasoning.
Labākais veids, ko šeit izmantot, ir atkarīgās rašanās meditācija.
Because at the same time as you're refuting, the wrong view, the wrong appearance of inherent existence, you're building up the correct view of seeing how things just arise in dependence upon so many other things.
Jo te vienlaikus, kamēr mēs noraidām to veidu, kā lieta neeksistē, kā noraidām to nepatieso veidu, kā lieta eksistē, mēs vienlaikus arī strādājam, izmantojam to argumentāciju, kas parāda, kā lietas eksistē.
But it is a bit more complicated. So we can do this meditation of searching, going through within the parts and outside the parts for this supposedly inherently existent self, sort of seeking for this and then not finding it.
Bet mēs varam izmantot šo meditāciju, kad mēs meklējam pašpastāvošo es ārpus daļām, iekšpus daļām un beigās atrast to vai neatrast.
So maybe we could do it on an object. We'll try to move over now to the selflessness of phenomenal emptiness of things other than just people. But maybe we'll come back to the meditating on ourselves as well halfway through the meditation.
Un tad varbūt šoreiz mēs varam mēģināt vairāk fokusēties uz lietu, pašpastāvošas eksistences neesamību, un tad mēģināt atgriezties pie personu pašpastāvošas eksistences neesamību.
So, first of all, we'll try to pick on an object that you have felt attachment to, sort of exaggerated attachment. Not just liking, we all, if we're hungry, we like to have a sandwich to eat. I'm not saying that the desire for something to eat when we're hungry, the desire for something to drink when we're thirsty. I'm not calling that attachment. Some desires are quite natural and they're kept at a, sort of reasonable level. It's not saying all desire is attachment.
Tad vispirms mēs varam izvēlēties kādu savas pieķeršanās objektu, un te es domāju tiešām pieķeršanās, nevis saprātīgas vēlmes objektu. Piemēram, ja mums gribās ēst, tad tā ir tīri dabīga un saprātīga vēlme. Tas pats par sevi nenozīmē, ka tā ir pieķeršanās.
So think of an object that you've really gone a bit too far with, that sort of attachment, sort of like the mind has become sort of like an unhealthy mind.
Mēģināt atrast tādu objektu, pie kuri jūs esat acīm redzami pieķērušies un kas nav tikai vienkārši saprātīga vēlme.
If you have, probably it's better probably better to have an object which you can't really have, either because you shouldn't have it or you can't afford it, or it's better for you if you don't have it, like the person who wants a cigarette, It's really better if they don't have another cigarette, the person who's trying to stop smoking. So that's a good object because it's one that they would like, they yearn for it, but really they shouldn't have it because, they're trying to stop smoking and that's a good thing to try and do. So an object that you would like to have, but you can't get or you don't get, that's the best.
Un te varbūt labākais ir izmantot tādu objektu, kas mums patīk, bet ko mums, kas mums nebūtu labs. Piemēram, cigaretes mēķētājiem, restīvi ir šī iekšējā vēlme, bet vienlaikus ir arī izpratne, kad tas nav nekas labs un noderīgs, vai arī mēs varam iztēloties kādu objektu, kuru mēs gribam, bet kas ir ārpus mūsu iespēju robežām vai tam līdzīgi.
I don't know whether this is going to work or not, but we'll try it. So, it could have been in the past, you could have been when you were a child, you really wanted to have a bicycle, but your parents wouldn't give you one because it was too dangerous, or you couldn't afford it. So it doesn't have to be now, but something that really meant a time when you recognise when you really had attachment and you perhaps unfulfilled attachment.
Un tad nav obligāti jābūt no tagadnes brīdī, mēs varam atcerēties arī kaut ko no pagātnes. Piemēram, ja mēs bijām bērns, varbūt mums vecāki nepirka riteni vai arī jebko citu, ko mēs ļoti tad gribējām.
So then we'll follow the instructions, okay?
Un tad attiecīgi, kad mēs meditēsim, tad arī virzīsimies tālāk pakāpeniski.
Ideally, we would meditate, take refuge, and meditate on the Buddhas before us, and get lots of blessings from the Buddhas, and say prayers, and get a lot of sort of merit like that, which lifts our minds to be able to think about these things, but we don't really have much time.
Ideālais veids, kā veikt meditāciju, ir vispirms iztēloties savā priekšā Buddhas, un tad iztēloties arī, kad mēs lūdzam viņam svētību, un viņi mums to dod, un tādējādi mēs radām noteiktus nopelnu uzkrājumus, kas paceļ to mūsu meditāciju daudz produktīvākā līmenī, bet šobrīd mums tam īsti nav laika.
But while we are, just preliminary stage, it feels in this room, this shrine room, as if we are surrounded by the Buddha. So let us just receive their blessings and just feel their presence.
Bet tā kā mēs esam šajā meditācijas zālē, tad faktiski mēs varam iztēloties, ka mums apkārt ir Buddhas, un tad vienkārši iztēlojamies, ka mēs saņemam viņu svētību.
So these preparatory kind of feelings of getting merit and so forth, they're very important because, meditation on emptiness can be quite sort of intellectual and kind of, you have to think a bit hard. So the energy that the other prayers and your faith and your kind of visualization give to you and the blessings is very, very helpful, necessary really.
Un šī sagatavošanās daļa, kurā mēs vizualizējam, kad Buddhas mums sniedz savu svētību un atbalstu, tā patiesībā ir visnotaļ būtiski, jo, piemēram, meditējot par sarežģītiem tematiem, kā tukšums un tam līdzīgi, tas nav nemaz tik vienkārši, un tādējādi šis sagatavošanās posms ieliek labu pamatu visai pārējai meditācijai.
So just spend a moment then to feel the Buddha's blessings or the blessings of the Guru, who's delighted with your attempt to study the teachings as they are taught by the great beings.
Un tad mēs varam vizualizēt vai no Buddhas, vai arī savus skolotājus, kas priecājas, ka mēs cenšamies meditēt par mācībām.
to get an appearance of this object, whatever it is, living or inanimate, whatever, any object that you've chosen as the object of your attachment.
Un tad šobrīd cenšamies iztēloties to mūsu pieķeršanās objektu, vai tas būtu dzīves, nedzīves.
But let it appear to us as highly desirable, just tempting us.
Un ļaujam tam parādīties tajā kārdinošajā, ārkārtīgi pievilcīgajā formā, kas liek mums tik ļoti pieķerties.
And then we should also try to get a picture of ourselves, like feeling strong desire for that object, strong attachment to it, wishing we could have it.
Un tad iztēlojamies arī tādu attēlu, kad mēs ļoti gribam šo objektu, un esam tajā stāvoklī, kad mums ir pārņēmusi liela vēle pēc šī objekta.
So here we're not working with the mind-only view, we're working with the view of inherent existence that we talked about yesterday.
Un te mēs neizmantojam tikai prāti pieejam, te mēs izmantojam to pieejam no vakardienas par pašpastāvošu eksistēšanu.
So the object of desire, it naturally appears to be inherently existent. It naturally appears to exist from its own side, without depending on anything else. It naturally appears to do that, but when you feel attachment to it, that appearance is it becomes even more strong, sort of more exaggerated, more noticeable if you know what you're looking for.
Un tad mūsu vēlmju objekts dabīgi parādās pašpastāvošā veidā, tā kā tas nebūtu atkarīgs ne no kā cita, un, protams, tā pastāv arī, tā mums parādās pārstāvā visi objekti, bet tas, ka mums ir pieķeršanās un vēlme pēc šī objekta, tas īpaši izceļ to mūsu uztvers veidu.
And then on top of that, appearance of inherent existence, then it appears like especially sort of beautiful, it's new and shining, or it's somehow very attractive or beautiful in some way. That kind of characteristic seems to be there just from the side of the object, and a quality the object possesses from its own side.
Un pa virsu tam, ka šis mūsu objekts parādās tā kāds tekstētu pats no savas puses, pa virsu tam vēl mums tas šķiet arī skaists, patīkams, ievērojams un tā tālāk.
Then you have to say to yourself, now if it really is existing just from its own side, by way of its own power, when we look over on the side of the object, then we should find it, because it exists from the side of the object, right? So then if we look over there, we should, amongst the parts or separate from the parts, we should find it, yeah?
Un, tad, ja mēs uzskatām, ka šis objekts eksistē pats no savas puses tā, kā mums tas parādās, tad mums vajadzētu atrast šo pašu pastāvošo objektu, kad mēs meklējam viņu arī visās tās daļās.
So whatever object you've chosen, you know, it could be just the bicycle we talked about yesterday when you were a child, you really wanted a bicycle, so disappointed you couldn't have one. Whatever it is anyway, just now, if you, like we did yesterday, if you just get rid of the part, is there, you know, just the thing, or it, just there, separate from the parts?
Un, lai ko mēs būtu izvēlējušies, piemēram, ja mēs izvēlējamies to, ka mēs kā bērns vēlējāmies ģioteni, tad varam līdzīgi kā vakar mēģināt atrast, vai starp šī objekta sastāvdaļām, vai tur ir šāds atsevišķs objekts, kāds mums parādās.
Yeah, if it exists from its own side, you know, just by way of its own power, without depending upon, you know, the mind observing it or anything like that, and it's separate from the parts, you know, if it's something that's, you know, in addition to the parts, then when you take the parts away one by one, is it left there?
Un tad, ja mēs sadalām šo objektu pa daļām un, restīvi, noņemam ik pa drusciņai no šī objekta nost, vai beigās paliek objekts, jo, ja reiz viņš ir pašpastāvošs, ne no kā neatkarīgs, tad viņam vajadzētu tur būt.
We don't seem to be left with anything, do we?
Bet šķiet, ka mums pār nekas nepaliek.
Just as when you take away the parts of the bicycle, you take the bicycle to pieces, pull the parts on one side, and there's no bicycle left just on its own, just for you to see or to know, is there?
Līdzīgi kā, ja mēs sadalām ģioteni pa daļām, tad pēc tam, kad mēs esam visas daļas nolikuši atsevišķi, vairs nepaliek neatkarīgs pats par sevi pašstāvošs ģiotenis.
So isn't your object of desire just like that?
Un vai ar mūsu vēlmi objekti nav tāpat?
Okay, so that's looking outside the parts, you know. Is the object that exists from its own side, you know, separate from the parts?
Un tas attiecās uz to daļu, kurā mēs uz to, kad mēs meklējam objektu ārpus tā daļām.
Next step, of course, is to look within the parts.
Nākošais solis ir meklēt iekšpus daļām.
So now we've got to go through the parts, you know, from top to bottom, or, you know, some methodical way, one by one, examine each part and say, you know, is this the thing itself? So if it's the bicycle, you know, you look at, are the handlebars the bicycle? Is the saddle the bicycle? You know, is the front wheel the bicycle? So you've got to do that investigation. Now we're looking amongst the parts themselves. Is there anything, you know, which is the object, the bicycle, for instance? from its own side, you know, from the side of the object.
Un tagad mēs meklējam šī objekta daļās, vai kādā no šīm daļām būs atrodams tas, kas mums šķiet pastāv, esam kā šis objekts. Piemēram, ja mēs iztēlojamies divriteni, vai stūre pie divritenes, vai sēdeklis pie divritenes. Mēģinām tādā veidā atrast, vai mēs varam atrast šo mūsu objektu, kas mums parādās, vai tāds parādās kādā no daļām.